Thanks for joining us on To The Point. I'm Becca Habiger in for Alex. It's no secret the downtown core of California's capital city is struggling. COVID prompted an exodus of workers from which it hasn't recovered. Homelessness is impacting businesses and people who live there. Yet today, local leaders tell us things are looking up.
We now have $30+ million to redevelop the old Sacramento waterfront. Our hotel occupancy is at 99% of pre-pandemic levels. We're going to bring back second Saturdays in the Midtown.
But are people trying to make a living in downtown Sacramento feeling as optimistic? In tonight's Main Point, we went to Sacramento's K Street corridor to find out. Here at Capitol Books on K Street, co-owner Ross Rojek says the state of downtown Sacramento is improving.
I think it's getting better. It feels like it's getting better.
But he says more needs to be done, including fixing the lighting.
Half these lights on K Street don't work. Lighting at night's important. And if you want people to come from the Kings Arena down here, then the 800, the 900, the 1000 block all need to be well lit, and they're not.
He attended the annual State of Downtown event Tuesday morning, where he heard from local leaders like Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg and Downtown Sacramento Partnership Executive Director Michael Alt.
Obviously, any urban center in America has had some challenges the last several years. We want to now start saying, welcome people back, come back to the office. What kind of energy and excitement? You know, we're in the building this morning, the convention center that doubled the size, $500 million investment that, you know, is bringing major conventions back to town. Last year we saw 6 new hotels open, so we're trying to capitalize on some of that momentum and just let people know we've missed them and downtown is where you should be.
And I think we still have a ways to go, but we're on the right track when it comes to making the downtown cleaner and safer.
Both men believe downtown Sacramento is better now than it was a year ago.
We have pre-COVID about 100,000 employees downtown. You know, we were in the 10 to 15% of them back. We're now seeing that pick up a little bit. We're about a little more than 50% back. That number is continuing to trend up. And so when you look at the small sandwich places and the coffee places, they rely on the workers being here.
Capitol Books also relies on foot traffic, along with Rojek's other business, There and Back Cafe on Cathedral Square, just around the corner from the bookstore.
I mean, this January, February is up over last year, January, February. We're up enough that it's significant, which tells me it's just foot traffic. And I'm seeing more people on the street. And that also helps. The more people that are on the street, the homeless people they fade into the background more.
He says the homelessness crisis impacts all businesses downtown, and he wants to see more permanent solutions.
I need one of them to go away because all he's doing is screaming. But at the same time, somebody needs to do something for him when they can't. I mean, if I encourage somebody to go off of our block to go somewhere else, they're just on somebody else's block bothering them. And so there's a no-win situation either way for us. I need to have a mostly clean, safe street for my customers to come to, especially the families that are coming downtown.
When you've got sidewalks blocked, you've got trash and debris, we are spending the majority of our time and resources addressing the reality on the streets.
We've now are up to 17 outreach and maintenance workers out in the downtown, up from just a couple before the pandemic.
Steinberg mentioned the new legal agreement between the city and the county, binding the two local governments together in their now shared approach to addressing homelessness.
The difference between here's our goal and here's our agenda and getting it done is a whole lot of little pieces along the way that just needs to get done.
And Mayor Steinberg calls this a redefining moment for downtown Sacramento, not just restoring it to pre-pandemic levels, but making it even better. For example, he says plans call for more focus on new residential spaces and entertainment, not just foot traffic from workers. As we reported last month, Governor Newsom announced the state is looking for a developer to turn 3 buildings in the downtown Sacramento core into apartments. There'll be a mix of affordable and market rate housing, adding thousands of new units. But the project is in its early stages and housing won't be move-in ready for years from now. Now, it's not just downtown Sacramento that has seen a decline in people. Recent data show over the last 2 years, California's population declined by 500,000 people. But this isn't a story about birth and death rates. More babies actually were born here than people who died. So where is everyone going and why? Our political reporter Morgan Reiner looked into it.
Susan L. Casey has fond memories growing up in Sacramento.
Take trips to Lake Tahoe, enjoy nature up in California. So That was a lot of fun.
but doesn't miss it now that she's gone.
You know how they say everything in Texas is larger? It's true.
It's love that brought her to Houston, where her husband lives. It's the finances that makes her say she does not want to leave.
Housing would be just so expensive there, whereas over here, we would be able to buy a second home and make an investment rather than spending like $700,000 on a home in California to get something maybe half the size.
And safety.
In Sacramento, I've lived in areas where I couldn't imagine letting my children play outside.
It's politics that drove Blanca Nunez and her family's decision to leave.
One of the most beautiful states we've been stationed at. The weather is phenomenal, so much to do, but then it's also been really scary. My kids are unvaccinated for the most part.
She made that decision because of her daughter's disability.
I already communicated with the schools. They have services for my kids. They can attend without a problem. Pediatricians, they all take you if you are making different choices for your kids. Where here you have to find a unicorn that will allow you to be part of their practice.
They moved to Texas on Sunday and no longer need to rent. They purchased a home.
Our money's going to go a lot further.
Census data shows that just counting domestic migration in and out of the state, California overall lost 871,000 people. After accounting for international migration, the birth and death rate, California lost about 500,000 over 2 years, second only to New York, and one of only 18 states that saw an overall population decline.
Now, if you're wondering where most people are moving to from California, the U.S. Postal Service shows it's Miami. Bit of a drive. We asked what's keeping you in or pushing you out of California, and you all had a lot to say, and we'll be sharing your points later in the show. You can tell us your thoughts and keep up with all the stories we're working on by joining our new To The Point text group. Just scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your smartphone. It will write up a text for you. All you need to do is hit send and we'll keep you in the loop. You can also text story ideas to us as well. After the break, this shopping plaza ain't big enough for the two of us. Sacramento City Council, that is hearing arguments about a marijuana dispensary opening near a rehab center. Can the two live in harmony?
Recommendation I do have is for staff to update our city code on this process, and I think we need to make sure that
A marijuana dispensary and a rehab facility walk into a shopping plaza. Now that could be the setup to a bad joke, but it's what Sacramento City Council is discussing right this second. Diamond House Detox does not want the new dispensary to set up shop nearby in South Sacramento. The rehab center says it's problematic for their patients, but the dispensary has been in the process of opening for years. So can the two coexist? Devin Truby has the story.
The City of Sacramento has a core program, Cannabis Opportunity Reinvestment and Equity, to help those open businesses who have historically been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs.
A medicine that a community is looking to me at this time to get in a position to be able to feel safe to come and get it from.
Lucretia Young is one of the 10 program lottery winners set to open a dispensary. But even though her permit was approved for a storefront in Valley High Village, a neighboring rehabilitation facility opened before her. Now there are concerns if the two should coexist. Young has already spent $200,000 and worked for years on this. Maisha Bahati, who successfully opened her store from the same program, explains there's not time to move stores and meet an April 1st, 2024 deadline.
Neighborhood outreach, finding the right location. There's just so many steps. So honestly, I don't think that she would have enough time.
Bahati and Young are the only two Black women to receive permits, speaking to the larger socioeconomic issues surrounding entrepreneurship in the cannabis industry.
Coming from a background that has barriers, it makes it a little bit more difficult because you're coming into an industry with lack of.
Rehabilitation Center Diamond Detox says they are not against the owner or the business, but concerned for their patients.
Cannabis is the gateway, and it seems to be also a substance that sticks with them throughout the years while they're also using other substances.
For a patient currently in recovery, she relies on this to be her safe space.
I think it's also a commentary on society not taking us seriously, thinking that I can stop anytime I want to. That's just ignorance.
ABC 10 is monitoring tonight's city council meeting for the fate of this dispensary. We'll have more on late news tonight at 11. A new drug is showing promising results in the slowing the process of Alzheimer's disease. After the break, hear from a Californian in the trial and how it's impacting him. Now to an issue directly impacting nearly 700,000 people right here in California. Alzheimer's disease touches so many of our lives. There's a good chance someone you know or love has had it, and yet there's no cure, and treatments are few and far between. But a new drug is offering hope to people entering the early stages of the disease. It's called Leqembi, and it could soon see full FDA approval. We recently spoke with a Sacramento family affected by Alzheimer's disease. It's a progressive, irreversible brain disorder that slowly destroys memory and thinking skills. Over time, people with Alzheimer's may become unable to do daily tasks. The FDA says the new drug, Leqembi, shows signs of slowing the progress of the disease for patients who start taking it in the early stages. This Sacramento son tells us the drug gives him hope for his father, who has Alzheimer's.
There's been plenty of funding and research that's gone into something like this, and I believe this is just one step in finding a cure for a disease like this.
We also spoke with a California man who was involved in the trial for Leqembi.
Sometime before I got into the trials, I had a couple of memory lapses, and I have it's a family history for me. So I'm aware of where I could be, and hopefully through the medication, I will have a longer time to be, I guess, who I am now. Because once you get deep into Alzheimer's, you are not who you were.
We asked an Alzheimer's expert at Stanford University for her take on the new drug.
I'm encouraged that there's a positive trial in Alzheimer's disease, but I will say, this is probably not the game changer that everybody is hoping for. It didn't reverse changes in terms of cognitive decline. It didn't prevent decline from happening, but it slowed the pace of decline a little bit.
Leqembi joins one other FDA-approved drug for slowing Alzheimer's disease. For more information on Leqembi, head to abc10.com/to-the-point. We have an article with more information from the experts we interviewed. Here are other stories people are talking about today. The El Dorado County Board of Supervisors was set to vote today on whether to require implicit bias training for board appointees. The training teaches people about unconscious bias, which are social stereotypes about certain groups of people that individuals form outside of their own conscious awareness. Board members say they were having trouble keeping appointees because of their opposition to the training. We're waiting to hear back on when the board plans to vote on the training. Bay Area Congresswoman Barbara Lee launched her campaign for California's U.S. Senate seat today. Senator Dianne Feinstein announced she is not running for re-election next year. U.S. Representatives Katie Porter and Adam Schiff are also eyeing the seat. And Representative Josh Harder is calling for more services to help homeless veterans in San Joaquin County. This is after we reported on the closure of Dignity's Alcove yesterday, a home for homeless vets that was forced to shut down because of the building conditions. So let's go back to a point in time. We pulled some video from the ABC 10 archive today. This is how things were looking a little more than 20 years ago now. Snow fell on downtown Sacramento. That is a sight I have never seen since moving here. It's been windy today and snow is on the way to Northern California. Now, some people have been asking if it will snow in Sacramento tomorrow. Meteorologist Carly Gomez is with us now. Carly, we're talking about this low snow we're expecting.
Yeah.
How long are we talking? How low that is?
Yeah, I mean, downtown Sacramento, we're not seeing it. I mean, at this point, maybe 500 feet in elevation could get a dusting, just not sticking. It's really right around 1,000 feet. And for a lot of people, that's areas around Auburn. We're seeing that around areas, maybe Cameron Park off 50. But as we look at our low pressure systems that are in place, we saw one today that's moved past us pretty much for the most part done, has left a bit of a 6 to 8 inches of snow or so for Central Sierra. And we're also seeing low pressure system further north. Now that pressure system is going to start dropping in, bringing with it very cold air way up here from the north in the Arctic all the way down into California. And that is what's going to lead to our low snow levels as we start seeing them from Thursday morning. Now, we do have winter weather advisories in effect. Look at all this. So winter warning, watches, warnings, advisories, everything in effect from that winter storm watch to wind advisory in the valley that we're seeing now that'll also continue on. It's going to end around 4 a.m., but also we expect it to come right back as we see the next storm system arrive from Thursday into Friday. Freeze watch also near the coastline there as we see it near the Bay Area. And then the winter weather advisory also going to be in effect here until Tuesday, 10 p.m. So we have this lasting quite a while as we see the winter storm warning until Saturday, 4 a.m. And that pink shade there. The winds continue to pick up on and off as we'll see that for us. 20, 25 mile per hour winds in the valley into your Friday morning. And then as we take a look at our impacts here, we're seeing the low snow level right there in that pink shade. That's a borderline between whether we're seeing the snow and maybe that mix or flurry around 1,000 feet. Now we'll see more of that heavy rain in the valley as well. And that'll continue on. And we do have our next best shot at getting more rain as we continue from Sunday, Monday into Tuesday. As the systems continue to roll through, we could see as much as 1 to 3 feet of snow as this weekend finishes up. All right, let's take a look at those low snow levels here. We are seeing them dropping down, as I mentioned, right around about 1,000 feet is what we anticipate. And rain-wise, we could see anywhere up to about an inch of rain in the valley, so a ½ inch to an inch of rain expected. As you take a look here at our forecast for the weekend, temperatures do drop in the overnight hours, but we are seeing them back into those low 50s for the weekend.
It's Black History Month, and ABC 10's Chris Thomas is catching up with distinguished civil rights activist Ben Jealous. The extended interview will air right here tomorrow night. Here's just a preview of what to expect.
Grab a seat. We're here at Underground Books in Sacramento's Oak Park neighborhood. It's a packed house with crowds looking forward to hearing civil rights leader Ben Jealous, the youngest ever former national president of the NAACP.
You know, it's good to be home in Northern California. This block seems like the Wakanda of Sacramento.
Yeah, he's just released a new book called Never Forget Our People Were Always Free, a parable of American healing. The son of a white father and a black mother is using the book to share his own personal story of overcoming the challenges of racism and inequality.
My parents moved out to Northern California because their marriage had been against the law in Maryland. They wanted to raise their kids in a place where there was a better chance of their family being accepted and their kids not facing discrimination and hatred in the schools.
Jealous says it was the January 6th Capitol attack that inspired him to write the book. He's hoping to encourage people from all walks of life to come together. The former NAACP president tells me it was actually an experience at the Capitol in Sacramento that helped launch his civil rights career. We'll talk about that experience and much more in a wide-ranging conversation Wednesday at 6:30 right here on ABC 10.
Okay, we've been talking about the California exodus. Like we said earlier, our state's population dropped by 500,000 people over the last 2 years. So we've been dying to know what's driving you out or what's keeping you here. Now, this one really opened the floodgates. Here's some of what you all had to say. There is no way someone can really get started in California now. The job market cannot keep pace with the costs of living here. I miss the beauty of California, though. Nothing quite like it from the natural diversity of the place. I'm not leaving, someone else said. I was born and raised here in California, and so were my parents. When I see the tornadoes and heavy snow in other parts of the country, I'll stick with California weather. I do want us to get the homeless off the streets. Someone else said, I retired 2 years ago. I'm leaving because the cost of living is high. I can go to Oklahoma and live better. My retirement will go a long way. And I am planning to leave California. California has become overrun with lawlessness, crime, and the politicians don't care. Someone else says, I was born and raised in California. I've lived in other states, but I've always come back. Why? The climate mostly. It may be expensive, but worth the cost. And finally, our favorite, In-N-Out Burger, is keeping me in California. Short and sweet. That person has their priorities straight. So why am I in California? Well, Aside from having this dream job here on To The Point and at ABC 10, my husband and I are from the Midwest. And as Sacramento filmmaker Greta Gerwig said in her movie Lady Bird, Sacramento is the Midwest of California. We have found folks to be friendly and warm. We love the ties to the land. We love our Sunday morning farmers market at the Arden Fair Mall. And I love all of the kind people that I meet here every single day. So thanks for being you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.